Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Edging on Dunstan, a podcast where three certified Dunstan dunces dig into a cinematic masterpiece by 10-minute increments. This is our second episode where we talk about minutes 10 to 20, and I am Drew.
I'm Sam.
I'm Adam.
Let me say this was a good 10 minutes. This is a real good 10 minutes, you guys.
Yeah, we start off with a pretty simple opening. A lot of it's dominated by the musical number and the polishing of many knobs.
Yeah, this 10 minutes really starts off with just establishing Lord Rutledge as a child molester.
Lord Rutledge, played by the incomparable Rupert Everett. I almost said Rupert Grint.
You did say Rupert Grint,
Yeah,
you freaking
Ron
loser.
Weasley is playing a pedophile in this movie.
Interestingly, he was 2 years old or so when this movie was filmed.
Okay, that's not true. But Rupert Everett, whose teeth doubled as Stonehenge in the Spinal Tap movie, plays Lord Rutledge, a
Child molester.
child molesting nobleman? Question mark? He claims to be Lord Rutledge.
He definitely thinks of himself as one, at least. He holds himself to that with that kind of air.
Yes, and so we left off last time with talking about the trunk and the sports coats being rather loud. Adam, where does that take us now?
But this movie edging us so hard with that right there. I thought we were gonna get Monkey in episode 1, but I had to wait for it.
And see,
I've been thinking about this monkey all week.
now that we finally get the monkey, we can talk into some more. We get some more background on what the plot of this movie is going to be,
We can get more into the best actor in this entire film.
Monkey.
we get a glimpse of Sammy the orangutan, and let's just say, first off, Lord Rutledge threatens to make a nosy little boy disappear, and that sounds equal parts silly and kind of rapey.
If you think Adam is exaggerating, the exact line is, "I can make nosy boys disappear."
Nosy little boys disappear.
Since we're gonna be
Pulls a
quoting.
coin out from behind his ear and says, "My best trick is making nosy little boys disappear."
And then when the boy runs away in terror, Lord Rutledge pulls out his cane and then, rings the child back and says, "My dollar!"
You really wanted that dollar back.
This refers back to what I said at the end of the first episode with the Epsteinification of Lord Rutledge.
No.
I told you it was coming.
Now, this is the first time I've watched this movie, but I'm starting to get an inkling that is perhaps Lord Rutledge the villain of the film? I'm not quite sure. He's not really been established yet as a good or bad. I feel like he could be the villain of the film, but honestly, it could go either way for me at this point.
Well, I'd say he's kind of chaotic neutral. Is he mean to Dunstan? Yes. Does he have a heart of gold when he donates his fortune to making the Majestic Hotel a 6-star hotel? Yes. It balances out. It's a noble sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did I miss it, or are his intentions made clear? Because he has some sort of plan, clearly, but I had no idea what the hell he's trying to do.
Yeah,
he's got a plan, man.
He's a man with a plan. He's a British noble.
He didn't just sneak a Dunstan in for the shits and giggles.
Should I know what the plan is, or
Nope.
is that going to... Okay.
It's going to come into play later. But as far as we ended right as he hung a little red ribbon outside of an unknown hotel room window. So, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Maybe he just likes putting red flags.
He's
out there.
patriotic.
He had a map of the hotel, and that's never a good sign.
Yes, he had it on his computer, and he zoomed in on a PS1 graphic.
Yeah,
of it.
90s computer technology.
I want to make this clear. If you're a hotel owner listening to this podcast, if anyone comes in, make sure you search their bags for a map. If you have anyone coming into your hotel with a map of the hotel, you know they're going to be up to some shit.
Or an orangutan. If
No.
you're searching their bags and you find an orangutan, that's another dead giveaway.
Honestly, at this point, in an era where everyone has GPS built into their phones, I think if anyone is seen holding a physical map, it should be instantly considered suspicious. If I saw a man walking down the street holding a map, I would call the police.
Well, you can only... If he's got a physical map, there's only two assumptions you can make. Either he's a guy trying to, he's up to no good in your hotel, or he's an old-timey pirate.
Or a time traveler.
I like when Lord Rutledge goes around and says, "Ahoy, Dunstan be hearty! The treasure should be buried in his footstep here."
Yarg.
But Dunstan being in the suitcase, as we were discussing, knocking to poor little Kyle.
Yes.
I, before this viewing, thought it was odd. I made a little note that Kyle doesn't report the fact that Lord Rutledge's luggage was knocking to him. But then he reported it twice in the movie, and it's so inconsequential that I forgot it after watching this movie like 20 times. He reports to his father and the head of security that a man's luggage is knocking.
Okay, Drew, tell me something right now. Would you take anything that fucking bastard child said seriously?
If he said...
I don't think... I would immediately assume that, like, I'm gonna walk up to the room and open the suitcase and it's gonna spray water in my face. Well, I think, as much like the boy who cried wolf, I would
The boy
not...
who cried Dunstans.
This child's gonna be... This kid, he's gonna be walking up to his dad going, I think Lord Rutledge is a child molester. His dad's like, oh, you.
Well, if you notice,
Why don't you just go ahead and end my life now?
If you notice in the scene where he's telling his father, he's on the phone with Lord Rutledge, and Jason Alexander's like, yep. Oh, sports coat, you say?
They're just very loud. So.
Yeah,
You're used to your little Sunday trousers and your lederhosens, boy.
and your swimsuit, pretending you're swimming in a fish tank.
And your radical sweet bicycle shirts.
Oh man, that shirt was really good. Was that a tiger on the bicycle?
We
It was
actually
some sort of like it was. He has this like proto furry T-shirt with like an animal on a bicycle that says in beautiful filigree text underneath it, "Sweet." Like I could not imagine a more 1996 shirt.
we easily spent a solid 2 minutes of our 10 minutes trying to figure out what the was riding the bicycle.
I say bear.
I think it was a tiger.
I thought it was a monkey.
Oh my.
It was foreshadowing. Mine makes sense. Why would it be a bear on a bicycle?
90s.
Bears, tigers, and monkeys. Oh my.
It's barely possible. That's just stupid. All right.
But we also get introduced during Lord Rutledge's parade to Mrs. Della Croce, who's going to be a very minor part of the plot, and we get very intimately familiar with her cleavage.
The cameraman puts that camera right down her sweater puppies. They pose it as they're looking at her jewelry, but no one's fooled.
No, I didn't even realize this was happening at first because it doesn't zoom straight on the jewel. It actually goes to cleavage.
Straight down her bosoms.
Like, it aims more at her cleavage than the necklace. Like why? It's very unnecessary.
Keep in mind, it's a PG-rated movie.
Also,
Dunstan's pretty horny, bro.
What do kids like?
Can we please discuss her cotton bud hat?
She's dressed as a Q-tip at the 6-star at the 5-star hotel.
5 stars.
Soon to be 6-star, but we'll get into that.
We'll get to that later.
Oh man, I was so excited about how much they said 5-star last time, but the number of times they said 6-star within a 10-minute window, like within the one conversation, they must have said 6-star 5 or 6 times.
This movie was written by an astronomer. Because stars. It's funny.
I do commend Rupert Everett's performance in this movie. Just the fact that he ogles her cleavage, pretending that he's not a gay man.
Mrs. Della Croce.
See, that's it's pretty good acting. But I think after we do this podcast, more people will talk about it and give him the coveted Oscar.
No, he's really a fantastic actor. Like I mean, while we were watching this, I know like one of our rules is that we don't like check our phones during the movie or anything, so we're fully focused. But I did sneak away to Google for a second to make sure that he wasn't actually a child molester in real life because he did such a good job of
playing one in this film.
He really sells it, you guys.
Oh, all right. And another
Which leads me to another line I really want to bring up.
Please.
When he says, "Spare the rod, spoil the monkey."
You know,
That's the thing that's said in this movie.
Spare the rod, spoil the monkey.
I was so stupid when I was a kid. I saw this so many times, and I thought that's what the expression was.
Spare the rod, spoil the monkey.
In addition to meeting Lord Rutledge, we actually also meet a new character.
Dunstan is checking in, people. He is in the freaking house, man.
Sound like Alex Jones. These are
Dunstans. They're just sneaking into your hotels.
I want to point out that Dunstan never actually checks in so far. Dunstan, in fact, fully bypasses the check-in process by being smuggled into the
Dunstan
suitcase.
sneaks in sounds actually way cooler.
Hey, how much do you think they would charge if they knew he was bringing a monkey into the room? Would they charge separate rent for the monkey, or?
Dunstan impossible.
So yes, I see you want the monkey suite.
with plenty of
Will
bananas.
that be monkey or non-monkey?
Speaking of Rupert Everett being a great actor, he is able to have so many full conversations with his partner being an orangutan with the IQ of 5.
No, okay, I don't use shit on Dunstan like this. Dunstan's the best actor in this movie. Genuinely, Dunstan isn't... Sammy the Orangutan is genuinely an amazing actor. I'm not even just memeing for the podcast. This is one of the best animal actors I have ever seen in a movie.
Sam's actually right. He's actually pretty good from an objective standpoint.
That stanky side eye he keeps giving is something else, you guys.
The way he constantly flips up his lips and just goes...
Oh, it's really good.
He's a hero.
He doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, but we learn a couple things about him.
He smokes hard, he drinks hard, and he fucks hard. We haven't got to that third one yet, but I can feel it coming.
Spare the rod, spoil the monkey.
You know, in episode 1, I think you guys both talked about the horniness of this movie. I kind of thought you were kidding until the
This isn't the peak!
Oh, it gets so much worse.
They're using the security camera to ogle all the hot babes at the hotel.
A grown man and a teenager were ogling women, either that were too old for the teenager or way too young for the...
That's exactly
No matter how
what
you
I
spin
wrote
it, it's
down.
inappropriate.
Exactly what I wrote down was the fact that someone is fucking wrong here. Either
Dunstan
like
checks
the
into
adult
prison
or
for
the kid.
statutory.
Oh my gosh.
Someone's in the wrong, everyone's in the wrong.
Dunstan checks in. Everyone's kind of guilty.
Dunstan is so far the only redeemable character in this film. Everyone else is going to hell. With Ronald Reagan.
What about Lionel Spaulding? He is innocent.
Oh, man, he didn't do nothing.
And Neil.
And Neil.
Speaking of which, Neil makes a wonderful cameo being held by Consuelo, who's also going to be a bit relevant for a scene.
Yeah, she's gone on a vacation, never comes back.
But after we're introduced to Dunstan, this just in, everybody. We have a Dubrow Alert.
Just the fact that someone decided to make that, like, as stupid as it is, I don't know, no one could have possibly thought that was funny, just to have random members of the hotel staff screaming Dubrow Alert for comedy purposes.
It's like half comedy. It feels like it's more for exposition than comedy. It's like it's a very round. It's a very unnecessary way. All they had to do is have her walk in, and have someone go, "Everyone, be on your best behavior." She's like I don't know exactly, like a hotel reviewer or something.
Shut the fuck up, Sam. Dubrow Alert.
But instead, everyone just screams Dubrow Alert.
All right,
Dubrow.
and with that lovely introduction, that brings us to Mrs. Dubrow, who is played by Faye Dunaway. This is her second movie when she acts with a monkey. She was in King Kong. No, wait, that was Faye Ray. Never mind. You Faye Dunaway.
Before we leave Dubrow Alert, I'd like to point out that I think the fourth or fifth person yelling Dubrow Alert is famous lyricist Maz Def, the host of Def Poetry Jam. That's not me bullshitting. That's, for some reason, a man who was at the beginning of his stardom is in Dunstan Checks In yelling Dubrow Alert.
That's a hell of a poll.
Maz Def yells Dubrow Alert and then vanishes to the ether. That's the power of Dunstan Checks In, you guys.
Hey, can I bring up some really nitpicky, strange things that I noticed this time?
Yes,
No.
yes, that's why we do this.
As I said, this being my first time watching the movie and being in such a quizzical headspace watching it in this format, this is if you guys have never watched a movie in 10-minute increments, it is the hardest way to watch a movie. If you've never seen this movie before,
We really handicapped ourselves.
I have no idea what's happening.
And you never will.
In the 1 week that it took us between episodes, we've forgotten everything that just happened. The only saving grace is what little we've written in our notes.
But it's perfect because it allows me to capture all the strangest details that I don't think I would ever notice in another movie. For example, this movie has a lot of POV shots.
There is so
Like,
many.
And there are I don't like any of them.
They're all ugly. They're horrifying.
They're all like hand cam, like kind of slightly shaky. A lot of times, this movie feels like it's shot like a sitcom. The way this movie is shot like a sitcom in a lot of scenes.
It's funny you should say that because director Ken Kwapis, who I did a bit of digging on in between weeks, is most known for his work on sitcoms. He is especially known for his work on The Office, as he directed the pilot, the series finale, and the gay witch hunt episode, which earned him an Emmy nomination. He also directed, let me read this, 19 episodes of Malcolm in the Middle, and License to Wed starring Robin Williams, and He's Not That Into You, as well as The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Oh, man. I'm shocked I noticed that so well. Yeah.
Good job, Sam.
Something about the just the way shots are framed and the way the camera moves, it feels very much like... feels very much like a sitcom. It's interesting.
Especially with the POV shots like you were talking about, how there are wide-angle lenses on that. Like, what in the fuck are they doing?
And with just that slight amount of, like, handheld cam where it's not like something where you would expect... When you think of, like, handheld cam in kind of a more modern film, you think of it being, like, very shaky, like someone, like, running with the camera. This is, like... stationary handheld cam. It's almost like a hidden camera sort of thing. Yeah, it's weird. It's just a very subtle shaking of the camera, and also since the POV shots are done in a way where things are obstructed from the view. Like so the main POV shot we have in this part is one of the kids being under the desk. As Jason Alexander picks his actual son up by the pants and shirt and throws him under the desk.
But why does he do that?
Like any good father would do. Oh, because
there's a Dubrow Alert.
Because Dubrow is coming, and of course he has to hide the child. Dubrow hates children, as you know.
She kicked Big Bird in the nuts, is what Jason Alexander says. She doesn't say she kicked the guy in the Big Bird suit in the nuts. She found the literal Big Bird and went to town on that guy's family jewels.
She hated him so much, she kicked the shit out of a puppet.
This movie's already perfectly set up with characters because Dubrow is a perfect foil for Rutledge, whereas Rutledge is a child molester. Dubrow hates children. She does not like
she
kids.
hates him so much she won't even molest him.
She has to traumatize them in other ways by just being an awful person.
Before we move on from this, in what situation are you justified for kicking a guy in a Big Bird suit in the nuts?
Did I miss that? Is that a thing that happened?
You were talking when it happened.
How did I miss that?
She kicked Big Bird in the nuts, is what Jason Alexander said.
Right before he drags the son under the desk, he's like, she hates kids. She wants to kick Big Bird in the nuts. That's all that's all we needed to know. Also, before we move too far away, I'd like to mention... when Faye Dunaway, Mrs. Dubrow, walks in the hotel, she's taking little notes on a tape recorder, and one of her notes is, there's 2 cigarette butts in the ashtray.
Which is good.
This poor bellhop runs to the ashtray, puts the 2 cigarette butts in his hat, and then runs away. So he has cigarette butts in his hat, just because he's so terrified of this Ice Queen woman.
That's a Dubrow Alert for you.
We'll chalk that up to a Dubrow Alert, eh?
Yeah.
So, of course, that leads us to sort of Dubrow's main
quest line?
Her sort of main sin so far in the movie, where, like, for no good reason, she forces Jason Alexander to fire an employee. Like, there's no real good reason for it. She bumps into Consuela.
Who's taking Neil to his pet psychiatry appointment.
It's 100% Dubrow's fault. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't. It's semantics. Who cares? Really?
Who had the right of way?
She very specifically says that they haven't fired anyone since Christmas. Like,
just to establish how mean and icy this woman is. Also, I like to point out, she refers to her as having a foreign-sounding name, just so you get the sense that she's not only a bitch, she's also a racist.
As though this movie in itself isn't going to be, like, vaguely racist. I have a feeling that there's just going to be some vague undertones. I'm just kind of getting that kind of vibe from this.
There's little pixie dust of racism sprinkled, but it was the 90s.
Yeah, it's not like it's not overt. It's just that kind of like, I don't know if you can say that.
It's like right on the fence between lighthearted.
It's not like grandpa racism. It's like dad racism.
Yeah,
it's
like It's like this.
No, let me explain myself. Real quick.
No, you don't have to.
You have grandpa racism, where you have like the full-on like grandpa's gonna go ahead and break out the hard R N-word at Thanksgiving, but like you get like that more like dad racism, where it's just like, Dad, come on, you can't say that. It's not okay. Or like grandpa says stuff, you're just like, oh
Yeah.
like it's the difference between like hearing something racist that gives you a physical reaction to hearing something racist that just kind of makes you go,
It's like a fine line between silly and offensive. Like,
yeah.
Like if your dad said, I didn't realize how many Hispanics lived in our small town. That's not so much race. It's just that, why are we talking about race when we're
talking about Dunstan? This is Dunstan people.
We're getting off track.
So what's Mrs. Dubrow's quest? What's her motivation in this movie? Adam, please tell me.
Her motivation is she wants to get a 6th star that the Le Monde Association is awarding the most elite hotels in the world.
Yes.
6 stars.
But how many stars did they have before this?
They had 5.
This was a 5-star hotel?
See, at one point in the dialogue earlier, you might have missed this. They just kind of dropped it, and
it was very subtle.
It was a subtle thing. They said, "We have 5 stars, but we want 6." And then from that point on, Mrs. Dubrow is trying to make sure everything in the hotel is running smoothly. But this guy, Jason Alexander, Robert is his name in this movie.
I will know him forever.
Those crazy kids.
Now that I know his name is Jason Alexander and not George Costanza, you're asking me to remember a third name for this one person.
We got
this
George,
is a lot.
we got Jason, we got Robert. God, there's so many names.
But who's running the Le Monde Association? Is it a toddler who's like, but then the bestest ones get another star, and then next year we're gonna make the 7th star?
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. Like, at what point?
Like the Power Rangers, like this is the best Power Ranger.
Where
but also
will they
next
stop?
season, there's an even gooder Power Rangers.
That is the equivalent to someone saying, "Man, the value of the dollar bill's down. Why don't we just print more money?" That's exactly what that is.
Inflation and hotel stars.
And as always, Dunstan checks in. It comes back to politics.
Ronald Reagan, you can see him attached to Faye Dunaway's shoulders and whispering into her ear.
Edging on Dunstan, a political podcast. We're gonna view Dunstan checks in through a political framework.
We'd like to also clarify, we have no political affiliations. We have no agenda. We're here to talk about a monkey movie.
We're just 3 libertarians
who once kicked Big Bird in the nuts. Little boy under the desk. There's a point where Faye Dunaway sits on Jason Alexander's desk while little Kyle's still hiding under there. And Kyle peeks his head out to look up her dress.
Not only does he look up her skirt, he looks and he smiles.
Why did they feel it necessary to include... This movie is horny in ways that don't make sense.
Dunstan is horny, y'all.
It adds nothing to the plot. It adds nothing to the movie. It's not necessarily funny. If anything, it's just creepy.
It should not be.
Okay, here's something I really, really want to talk about because it simply tickled me pink. The scene when Consuela is brought in, and what is Jason Alexander's name in this movie?
Robert.
Okay, the scene when Consuela is brought in, Robert explains to her that he's not actually going to fire her. He's going to give her a 2-week paid vacation.
Even though Mrs. Dubrow wanted to fire her.
Yeah, he's gonna have her pretend to be fired, like run out crying, because this is where they established that he is a good person, and kinda.
He's not as racist as his boss.
He's not as bad as the other terrible characters, but I noticed something that's gonna really bother me throughout the rest of the film because I know it's gonna keep coming up. Do you guys notice how fucking shiny her badge is? Her badge, like, it's throwing off the white balance of the movie. It is pure, like, her badge is so shiny. They polish everything so much in that first scene that her badge is causing lens flares. It's blowing out the lighting of the whole scene. The director's going, cut, cut, cut. We gotta dull this badge down just a little. It's
but sir, we
bright.
can't. We can't, sir. We only know how to polish.
If you think I'm kidding, look this movie up. Like, please find this movie and find this scene.
Please support the official release of Dunstan, please.
Buy it
I
on,
beg you.
Buy it on
theaters.
Blu-ray. Buy it on Blu-ray. Buy it on Laserdisc. Buy it on whatever format you prefer, and get to this scene because her badge is so shiny that it actually genuinely is causing a lens flare in the scene.
There are certain points in the same shot you're talking about when she's playing with her little brooch thing. Like, it actually makes her face change colors because it's throwing the white balance off. And it's absolutely... This is like filmmaking 101. You set the white balance to the cameras. You make sure there's nothing that'll interfere, nothing shiny, and there's nothing reflecting off of it.
But they spent the first 10 minutes of the movie polishing every
everything.
surface.
Maybe we're thinking too hard about this. Maybe this just goes into the way that everything was established before this. Maybe it's just... Maybe it's like the filmmakers screaming for help. Maybe Ken Kwape is... Kwape?
Ken Kwapis.
This whole movie is a scream for help.
I don't know about you, but it made me want to scream for help a couple of times.
The whole movie is a scream for help. Oh, I'm too horny.
I'm gonna come.
Too horny and I can't stop thinking about monkeys.
Those aren't related. Or are they?
I promise they're not related, but the movie's gonna blur the line.
Blurring the line with Dunstan. That was our second name for this podcast. But as Mrs. Dubrow is telling Jason Alexander that she wants the 6th star, it's because the Crystal Ball is the social event of the season, this upcoming social event that's going to happen at the hotel. And she thinks that there's an agent from the Le Mans Society secretly staying in the hotel to observe the crystal ball and see if they're worthy of the 6th star. And so she says to Jason Alexander, we need to cancel your vacation to Barbados where you were going to save your wife and your son was going to kill a shark with a spear gun.
Also, just as
That's not a joke either. It's one of the other people that are the other Dunstan noobs that are joining this podcast with me. This awful child really wants to kill a shark.
He wants to kill a shark, but he wants to save a monkey. Actually, also to clarify, we have no idea what the crystal ball is at this point.
Well,
so this is just, we're going in blind here.
It's the last Indiana Jones movie. Also, I just really have to wonder if this child's bloodlust for shark is what inspired the famous Aquabat song "Shark Fighter." He's the original shark fighter. He's gonna go into the ocean and he's gonna punch the shit out of these sharks. This kid's gonna be like underwater, ripping their gills out. It's a bloodbath, you guys. I know, everyone thinks about blood in the water with sharks. The only blood that's gonna be in the water is all this shark blood.
But with Kyle under the desk, Jason Alexander starts talking to Kyle under the desk and tells him to kill him.
Again!
Twice.
Again!
He says, if you're going to kill me, do it now.
This movie is a deep exploration in the mental illness.
This is some weird Oedipal shit, like, you must kill your father and take his place. Dunstan's really horny, bro.
There's so goddamn much going on in this movie. And there's so much to talk about, yet so little at the same time.
There's so much to talk about, but nothing happens. Nothing happens, but there's so much to talk about.
All right, so
I can sum up this entire movie so far in like one sentence.
Monkey.
Man runs 5-star hotel with shithead children. There's a monkey in the hotel. That's it. That's the movie. 2 sentences. I did it.
That's the rest of the movie too.
Yeah. All right. And so, as far as the plot goes right now, or what you could call the plot, we have not determined as to what it is. Yes.
Brother.
Drew is raising his hand.
You forgot there's an important new character introduced alongside Mrs. Dubrow.
Who is that?
All right.
Victor
so we have
Dubrow.
We have senile Hugh Hefner.
Senile Hugh Chad Lord Hefner, Victor Dubrow, who it's implied is the real monetary force behind the hotel, but his gold digger wife, Mrs. Dubrow, is running everything. Victor Dubrow just comes off as like the sweetest and most senile old man in the world.
The first thing he says, his very first line of the movie, is, and this is the entire thing, 2 words: Fluffy towels.
Pardon?
Read the cards, Robert.
He's reading all these suggestion cards. He's like, the guests want fluffy towels. Send more to laundry. And then his wife's like, Victor, sit down and read your cards. And he's just like, oh, yes,
like he's a special kid. Sit down, work on your fractions or something like that.
Fluffy towels.
Fluffy towels.
And there's a point where Jason Alexander is talking to his son under his desk, telling him to kill him.
Yes.
And Victor's like, why are you talking to your crotch?
And it's not it's just brushed off. No one says, are you okay? Are you seeing men in your pants or something like that?
Why are you telling your penis to kill you?
Hey, I want to know the mindset of a person who goes, wow, this man is telling his crotch to kill him.
That's something normal that I, Victor Dubrow, have encountered before.
Oh, you know what
it's
this movie
the syphilis.
is?
It'll get me eventually.
But my last note with Victor Dubrow is, before he leaves the office, he mentions to Jason Alexander that there's a small boy under his desk.
Nothing happens about that. We're not sure. Jason Alexander just goes, yeah. Like, he's
and then Victor Dubrow's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, they just end it there. There's not like, oh, that's my son, haha. He was just hiding from your crazy wife.
I guess they need to give him some sort of line that indicates that he's still able to perceive reality as it's happening. Just something. He's more perceptive than he seems.
Yeah, he's going to act like the oracle of this story. He doles out justice.
Really, it's a great strategy. If you just pretend to have no idea what's going on, people will just say real wild stuff around you.
Then Jason Alexander calls Consuelo into his office, and he immediately starts, like, stroking her shoulders. He's like, Consuelo, and he's, like, grabbing on her, and he's like, I'm your boss, and also I'm giving you vacation.
What are you gonna do for that 2 weeks of vacation, Consuelo?
And then she's like, I don't know. And then he's like, oh, can you run out of here crying? And then she's squinting, and he's like, yeah, that's what turns me on. He starts twisting his nipples.
You know what? This is why his kids are so up.
Yeah. Kyle's still under his desk witnessing this.
Exactly.
Oh, man, just the fact that I just wish I could be like a fly on the wall in that lobby just to see her go into Jason Alexander's room and just leave crying. Like, I would think one of two things. I'd think, oh, he fired her, or he's going to get Me Too'd.
Or Dubrow Alert.
Or Dubrow Alert.
Yeah.
That would be
That's the name of this episode.
Definitely. Episode 1, as we already established, is Sport Coats.
Sport Coats. In parentheses, a little loud.
Offhand remark. I think if it would be great if we do like mild censorship, like occasionally censor the fuck word with ape noises.
I think that's fair. Get on it, editor.
Man, I really want to get a child psychologist in here for one of the episodes as a guest star, just to try to figure out what's going on with these children. I definitely think a lot of it has to do with
Repressed Dunstan.
Yeah, repressed Dunstan is. That's nothing, actually. I think that's nothing.
that's the dictionary definition of nothing.
Repressed Dunstan is when you watch Dunstan checks in for the first time, but then come to the horrifying realization that you have seen this movie before but can't remember when. That's repressed Dunstan.
You see Dunstan, it
He's
all
in
comes
your dreams.
flooding back. 1, 2,
Dunstan
Dunstan checking in, 2.
So Sam, where do you think this film is going from here?
Oh boy, if I had to say where this film is going from here, I'd say that probably what's going to happen is that
Wrong. I can already tell you're going to be wrong.
I think what's going to happen is Dunstan's going to run around the hotel,
Nope.
getting up to some hijinks, and then the movie's going to end very unsatisfyingly with virtually no reference to any sort of plot at the beginning of the movie. I think there's going to be like one reference to where were they traveling again?
Barbados?
I think there's going to be one reference to the Barbados at the very end of the movie.
When you see Kyle with a shark in his teeth, he's mangling it.
It's just like the credits are just like a clip show of like vacation pictures.
Drew, you asked me where I think the movie is going. My answer to that question is nowhere. I don't think anything's going to happen.
I thought you were going to say hell.
with Ronald Reagan.
I'm dragging you with me, Dunstan.
No, Drew, this movie already exists in hell. We're all in hell with this movie.
They get it on demand in hell.
It's just on a continuous loop.
Dunstan Checks In is a movie where a monkey is on screen a lot of times, and the times he's not on screen, there's other stuff happening. But that's not the part of the movie you watch it for, so you don't really remember those parts. The movie was entirely... They wrote a bunch of gags about a monkey being silly in a hotel, and they said, shit.
Now we gotta have things in the hotel without the monkey.
Now we gotta have a reason for the monkey to be in the hotel?
Renting a monkey for a day of shooting is expensive.
What happened was the screenplay writer showed this to 20th Century Fox.
Whose name was Johns Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins. Johns Hopkins was like, hey, I read this really cool screenplay about a monkey in a hotel. I'm like, wow, it's fascinating. How did he get in the hotel?
Yeah.
In a trunk.
No, you know what happened with this movie? They shot all the scenes with Dunstan first, and then they reversed engineered a movie out of that. Like, they reverse engineered the rest of the movie based on the Dunstan scene. It's like, shit, why is he here? It doesn't... So far, Dunstan has no correlation to the plot at all. Dunstan does not relate to the main plot of this movie at all. We're 20 minutes in, and Dunstan is just there. He's completely separated from any sort of connection you would have to the movie. Like, the overall plot, as far as I can tell from now, is that this hotel is a 5-star hotel, and this evil woman is going to try to make it a 6-star hotel by being awful to everybody there, and also there's a monkey in the hotel.
As of this point, that's all you can say about the plot. That's all that exists. All we know, as far as we can tell in the way of plot, is they want to get the 6th star.
So as best I can guess, Dunstan is going to foil their plans of becoming a 6-star hotel, run the business into the ground. The family's going to go bankrupt. They're going to move to the Barbados and live homeless on the streets.
Live off the sharks.
Live off the sharks that the children can catch with their bare hands.
With the bare teeth.
with their bare shirts.
Yeah.
And they're barely legal.
I simultaneously hate and love this movie already.
It's just such a mixed bag. It's got so much childlike, innate curiosity to it. But at the same time, it's fucking Dunstan Checks In.
It's like one of those pictures you see. It's like
name a single thing in this image.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're like orangutan, and then you start questioning yourself, and you're like, Rupert Everett was there. He's gonna rape a kid, I think.
I'm really excited to continue to try to guess what happens in this movie, because I think by the end of the movie, I'll still have no idea what happens in this movie.
We are in the last 10 minutes. We have 10 minutes to go. We have one episode left, and we ask you where you think this is gonna go. You will have no fucking clue where it's going, because it's just so goddamn ambiguous about what the plot is,
what the characters' goals
are.
But Adam, there's monkey. You don't have to have a plot. There's funny monkey who eat banana.
Funny monkey.
And go...
Shit, that reminds me. Have you guys heard of the movie called MVP?
Most Valuable Primate?
Yeah, there's a movie like from the golden age of the 90s where they teach a monkey to play ice hockey.
I thought he was snowboarding.
I think there's a sequel where he
Is
plays
this like
ice hockey.
Is this like a Forgotten Air Bud franchise?
Yeah, it's that.
With
It's
monkey?
that thing. That's exactly what it is.
You
Yeah,
guys
that's
remember
exactly
Air
what it is.
Bud?
I do remember Air Bud.
Guys,
Air Bud.
we're moving way too far off topic.
Back to the monkey we all know and love.
We're talking about monkeys here, not dogs.
What I think this is a good sign that it's about time for us to wrap up on our time here. So, signing off on Edging on Dunstan, Episode 2, I've been Drew.
I've been Sam.
I've been Adam, and this is your Dubrow Alert.
Check in with us next time, and remember, spare the rod, spoil the monkey.
Have a great week, folks.
Have fun living in the city.
That was Edging on Dunstan, the podcast where three buffoons analyze Dunstan Checks In 10 minutes at a time. You can email us at edgingpodcast@gmail.com. If you want your email featured on the show, make sure to let us know if we can use your name. Edging on Dunstan is a podcast by Sam, featuring Adam and Drew. Editing is by Adam. Intro is Right to Ascension, written by Sam and remixed by Adam.